Hello everyone. Welcome to the YuktMind's initiative of 10 minutes and newspaper done. In this initiative, we just don't finish your lengthy paper quickly, we also relate current news with static part of UPSC syllabus. This way, you can cover current affairs in the most comprehensive manner on a daily basis and that too in a very short time. We have selected 6 news for 27th May, that is today, and you can download the PDF of the gist from our Telegram channel or website. First article. Despite demands from several communities to be counted as a separate religion, the next census will only count 6 religions, that is Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Sikh and Jain. Nature worshipping Adivasis in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Odisha have been campaigning to include their Sarna faith as a separate religion, while Karnataka's Lingayats have been making a similar demand. Now, census. What is census? It provides a suitable database for comparisons and projections of demographic data as well as social and economic characteristics of the country. The decennial census is conducted by the Office of the Registrar General and Census Commissioner, Ministry of Home Affairs and Government of India. Until 1951, the census organization was set up on an ad hoc basis for each census. Census is conducted under the provisions of the Census Act 1948. The population census is a union subject under Article 246 of the Indian Constitution. That means only the center can update population census and not states. It is listed at serial number 69 of the 7th schedule of the Constitution. Now, first non-synchronous census was conducted in India in 1872 during the reign of Governor General Lord Mayo. First synchronous census was taken under British rule on February 17, 1881 by W.C. Plowden, who was a census commissioner of India then. Since then, censuses have been undertaken uninterruptedly once every 10 years. Second news, IMD retains its normal outlook for monsoon. Now let's discuss few phenomena related to monsoon. So how does the normal monsoon look like? Let's see. The coast of Peru in South America has a higher pressure than the region near northern Australia and Southeast Asia. The Indian Ocean on the west side is warmer than the adjoining oceans and so lower pressure. Hence, moisture-laden winds move from near the western Pacific to the Indian Ocean. We all should know that the winds move from the higher pressure area to the lower pressure area. The pressure on the landmass of India is lower than on the Indian Ocean, and so the moisture-laden winds move further from the ocean to the lands, bending the southeast trade winds to southwest monsoon. Now let's discuss El Nino and La Nina. They are opposite phases of what is known as the El Nino Southern Oscillation Cycle. El Nino is often called the warm phase because it warms the Peruvian cold current, and La Nina is called the cold phase of ENSO because it cools down the Peruvian current, which is already cold. These deviations from normal surface temperatures can have a large scale impact on the global weather conditions and overall climate. El Nino means little boy or Christ child in Spanish. El Nino refers to the large-scale ocean atmosphere climate interaction linked to periodic warming in sea surface temperatures across the central and east central equatorial Pacific Ocean. The cool surface water of the Peruvian coast goes warm because of El Nino. When the water is warm, the normal trade winds get lost or reverse their direction. It results in relative high pressure in the western Pacific around eastern Australia. Hence, the flow of moisture-laden winds is directed towards the coast of Peru from the western Pacific, that is around northern Australia and Southeast Asia, which is reversal of the normal winds direction that we just read. El Nino also adversely impacts the Indian monsoons, that is negatively, and hence agriculture in India. You can have a look at the diagram to clearly understand the phenomenon. You can see in the upper diagram that the winds are moving from Peruvian coast to the Australian side, which is a normal year of the monsoon. In the El Nino year, the pressure difference reverses and hence the easterly winds weaken, warm water to move eastwards and the moisture-laden winds falls rains on the Peruvians. La Nina means little girl in Spanish and is also known as El Viejo or cold event. Here the water temperature in the eastern Pacific near Peru gets colder than normal. As a result of this, there is a strong high pressure over the eastern Pacific and low pressure in the western Pacific and off Asia. So the pressure difference is higher increasing the speed and amount of moisture-laden winds, and therefore La Nina is beneficial for the Indian monsoon. Now, next phenomenon is Indian Ocean Dipole. It is defined by the difference in sea surface temperature between two areas of Indian Ocean, a western pole in the Arabian Sea and an eastern pole in the eastern Indian Ocean near south of Indonesia. The western Indian Ocean grows warmer, which is a positive phase, and then gets colder, which is a negative phase, than the eastern counterpart of Indian Ocean during the periodic oscillation of sea surface temperature known as the Indian Ocean Dipole, also known as the Indian Nino. The Indian Ocean Dipole is a coupled ocean and atmospheric phenomenon similar to El Nino Southern Oscillation but in the equatorial Indian Ocean. You can have a look at the diagram and observe the dipole between the Arabian Sea, that is Western Indian Ocean, and the south of Indonesia, that is Eastern Indonesian. It is also thought that Indian Ocean dipole has a link with El Nino Southern Oscillation through the extension of Walker circulation and Indonesian through flow. Third news, Center advises Jammu Kashmir to scale up efforts for better utilization of Indus water. India and Pakistan signed the Indus Water Treaty in September 1960 after 9 years of negotiations, with the World Bank being a signatory to the pact. The treaty sets out a mechanism for cooperation and information exchange between the two sides on the use of the water of Indus River and its 5 tributaries. It allocated the 3 western rivers, which is the major chunk, Indus, Chenab, and Jhelum, to Pakistan for unrestricted use, barring certain non-consumptive for India, that is agricultural and domestic uses. And the 3 eastern rivers, Ravi, Beas, and Satluj, were allocated to India for unrestricted usage. This means that 80% of the share of water went to Pakistan, while leaving the rest 20% of water for use by India. According to the provisions of the Indus Water Treaty, the Permanent Indus Commission is required to meet at least once a year. Dispute resolution mechanism of Indus Water Treaty. It provides a 3-step dispute resolution under Article 9 of the Indus Water Treaty, under which questions on both sides can be resolved at the Permanent Commission or can also be taken up at the intergovernment level. In case of unresolved questions in the Permanent Commission, differences between the countries on water sharing, such as technical differences, they can approach the World Bank to appoint a neutral expert to come to a decision. In case they are not satisfied with the neutral expert, the matters can be referred to a court of arbitration. Fourth news is about Navy ISRO release training plan for Gaganyaan crew. Now, what is Gaganyaan? It is a mission by the Indian Space Research Organization ISRO. The Gaganyaan program envisages undertaking the demonstration of human spaceflight to low Earth orbit in the short term and will lay the foundation for a sustained Indian human space exploration program in the long run. The objective of Gaganyaan program is to demonstrate indigenous capability to undertake human space flight mission to low Earth orbits. 2 unmanned missions and 1 manned missions are approved by the Government of India under Gaganyaan. The human flight after 2 unmanned flight is scheduled to be launched in the fourth quarter of 2024. GSLV Mark III, also called the LVM-3 Launch Vehicle Mark III, the 3-stage heavy lift launch vehicle, will be used to launch Gaganyaan as it has the necessary payload capability. The major new technologies required for Gaganyaan are human-rated launch vehicle, crew escape systems, habitable orbital module, life support system, crew selection and training, and associated crew management activities. Fifth news, Elon Musk's brain chip firm says it has received approval from the US Food and Drugs Administration to conduct its first tests on human. Neuralink Corporation is an American neurotechnology company that is developing implantable brain-computer interfaces. Neuralink hopes to use its microchips to treat conditions such as paralysis, blindness, and to help certain disabled people use computers and mobile technology. The chips, which have been tested in monkeys, are designed to interpret signals produced in the brain and relay information to devices via Bluetooth. Sixth article, SEBI will soon introduce a new light touch regulatory framework for passively managed mutual funds like exchange traded funds and index funds, which have seen a sharp uptick in assets under management in recent years. As of March 23, 16.5% of the 41.6 lakh crore mutual fund assets were in passively run funds that blindly mimic the composition of stocks in different share market indices, which are the prominent ones like NSE Nifty 50 and BSE Sensex. They provide transparency, diversification at a very lower cost with respect to active funds. Now, what are actively managed funds? They are funds that are directly managed by dedicated fund managers with expertise in market analysis and research. The active investing strategy aims at gaining revenue by outperforming certain index returns or benchmark indices through frequent trading. Equity funds, debt, and hybrid mutual funds are popular examples. Now, what are passive funds? Passive funds are not actively managed by a fund manager. They are managed to follow the performance of a standard index to maximize returns. That is, use less brains and more benefits by trusting the NSE and BSE index. For example, the passive fund Nifty BES tracks the benchmark Nifty 50 index to duplicate the benchmark's performance and translate it into returns. Exchange traded funds and index funds are common passively managed funds because they have good returns. Thank you for watching. Let us know your feedback in the comments. Keep visiting our website, Telegram channel, and Instagram and Twitter.